Good morning, my lovelies. This is All Blue over at 3D Palace. How are you doing? I hope you're keeping well. Right, so I'm just having a sip of my coffee. What you can see in front of you is Quixel Mixer. At the moment, it's version 1.0.0, which means that this is the brand new version that's just came out, and it's free for the next year, so that's cool. Sorry, coffee. So tasty. Okay, so I'll say that a lot, by the way. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can use Quixel Mixer just to mix ourselves up something cool and interesting. Now, I'm not going to really bother with things like the what's it called? The thing that automatically makes bricks, you know, the procedural noise stuff. I mean, it's cool and stuff, but that's not why I love Quixel Mixer. I like Quixel Mixer for all sorts of other fun reasons. So, anyway, I'm going to go to my projects, and I'm not going to be using Quixel Gypsy Widow for this, so let's see, I'll call this teaching material, okay, because that's what it is. So I've made myself a nice new folder, and I'm going to call this one a wall, just to kind of emphasize how easy and quick stuff is in this. Alright, so this is the basics. I've got my surface, and as you see, I can move around it. I'm just holding Alt on my left mouse button. Okay, Alt on my right mouse button, that's zoom, and Alt on my middle mouse button is pan. So it's pretty simple stuff. Now if I press P, okay, that puts me in top-down view or perspective. That's also that button there. And over here you can see what it looks like all tiled. And you can throw a grid on it, which makes things a little bit easier too. Okay, so I'm going to stick my grid on, because I like grids. Now, over here we've got various options, so paint layers, noise layer, liquid layer, solid layer, decals, and surfaces. Now, I've got a few materials that I got from Quixel, okay? Quixel materials are great, kind of expensive. I can't really afford to subscribe to Quixel at the moment. If you want to sub me up, or if you're from Quixel and want to give me a free sub, hey, knock yourself out, I'll be quite happy to accept bribes, you know, I love Quixel. Anyway, what I tend to do is I tend to mix things up, so I'll use my own materials, that's the paint layer here, and I will use the stuff from Quixel themselves. Anyway, what I want to do is I want to start off straight away by just adding a paint layer. Now that adds these, my diff, spec, gloss and displacement, and what I'm particularly interested in here is my displacement, because that will allow me to draw shapes like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my square, okay, and you'll notice that I can just draw straight into this. Now I'm holding down S and increasing the size of my middle mouse button, okay? Not increasing the size of my middle mouse button, I'm just using my middle mouse button rather just to come out like that. And I'm going to just click here, hold shift and bring it down, okay? So I've got that nice shape there, you see? Very, very easy. And that gives us this indent, okay? Now another thing I can do is I can hold this down like so, okay, and let's just say I want to reverse this, so I'm going to just click here instead, raise my displacement, and I want to do it about, I'm going to adjust the size of my brush so that it's about the same width as this. There we go, you see. Then click. Oops. And then down. Okay, and I'll do that again. Okay, just make sure it's all the way. Now I'm going to do the same here. Ignore the fact that the screen spazzed out a little bit there. It was just the way it is. Okay, sometimes it happens. Probably to do with the fact that I'm recording. Okay, so now I've got these different displacements going on here. And if I hit G, you can see them a little bit easier. Now, it's not quite 100% even, okay, so it's up to you if you want to spend a little bit of time just fixing this. As you see, you can just do stuff like that. Another thing you can do as well is, hold on a second, because remember, just treat this as 2.5D modelling basically. I'll just try and get this right, and increase the size of that. and you can do these, you see. So all you're doing is just really adding to your diffused material here. And don't worry that it looks a little bit jaggedy, okay, this is just kind of preview mesh, it's not your final. There we go. Okay, so we've made this. Pardon me, didn't mean to make weird sniffing sounds there. And let's say I want to just do a little something else perhaps. So I'll do so I could just literally run these down if I wanted to, like this. Oh hooray, that is letting my wife know that some Connect-along she's ordered is on the way, so that's good news. I'm sure she'll be delighted. Okay, and see, I haven't bothered kind of trying to measure it out to exactly how much I need, so let's say about there. There we go. There. Okay, so now we have this, which is our displacement map, which is basically, we've done a little bit of 2D modelling on this, okay? Now, I'm going to go back up here and close my paint map off. And the reason that I've done that, and this is just doodling, okay, I didn't really have any plan for how I was going into this at this point. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply some surface layers. Now, if you have surface layers, it's easy enough, you just click on here, and you find one that you like the look of. Okay, so this is all the stuff that I've got from Quixel already that I've created in the past. Sorry, I was just looking over to make sure my recording tool is still recording. Now I've got some cool concrete that I'm going to be making use of. But first, I could do with some sort of brick-like material. Now I've only got one brick-like material, and it's this, which is a very old-looking brick material. Bit of a shame, really. What I could do is I could let's go over here to where Game Textures is. And I could look up brick and see if there's anything. You see there's a few different kind of bricks here that I could just pull out, and the good thing about these is that these will work in it. So let's just say I want a brick. I mean, you can also pull it obviously from what do you call it, from Quixel, but I think this capital brick here would suit me fine. And let's see, I'll just have a PBR spec based, so download. Okay, so I bought my material over there. It is capital brick PBR generic specular 4K map, and I'm going to just extract it to its own folder named after what it is. And if I can't remember what it's called, I'll just use my modified byte. There it is. Okay, and that gives me all these. Now again, you can do this through the Quixel, what do you call it, but I'm doing this one because I have about 72 credits left that I haven't used on Quixel, not Quixel, on beta.gametextures.com. Right, now then, I'm going to make myself a new layer therefore, so viewport, and add paint layer. Now I can't do any of the fun kind of mask stuff if I'm doing this, but I can do some cool things. So I'll go into my diffuse, load my image, and just put the address in there. Now this should be the albedo, which is the diffuse, as you can see. Then the specular, just load my image again. And do we have a specular? Yep, there it is. Then the glossiness. And finally we'll take the displacement. Okay, where is my displacement? Do I have a displacement? Height, that's probably what it is. It usually is. Okay, so as you can see, if I just turn grid off now, we have all these fancy schmancy bricks. Okay, Oops, I don't want to draw on it. Undo that. There we go. Right. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I can't really change things like the tiling on this and stuff like that, so I've got to be fairly sure that that's kind of what I want. But you know, I'm kind of okay with that. It's not really the kind of thing that I had in mind for it, to be honest. If I take that off, on again, I could have done with some more plain brick than that. I think what I'm going to do is just underneath this, therefore, I shall throw in that old weird looking brick texture that I found. And what I can do is I can always red over it. So I'll grab this and it'll load up my various parts there. See what I mean? And it's coming from below, so I'll increase the threshold just a teeny bit like that. And it's given us this kind of stonework look, so I can't complain at that really, because I do like the stonework look. And I want to change a little bit of stuff from this, so let's see. Height intensity, I'm just going to lower it a teeny bit. Whilst keeping the details. There we go, that way it won't kind of overlap quite so much. And this middle bit, okay, you can kind of see here, that's where I don't want to paint, quite obviously. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just use a mask and paint it on. So if I just get my S tool and just... And as you can see, all I'm doing is just removing any potential paint that might be in here. And oops, it doesn't like me going downwards. It doesn't like me going to the right, but it doesn't like me going down with this for some reason while I'm recording. Go figure. Okay, so there we go. So we've cleared out that bit, so we've got these kind of bricks here, yeah? Ignore the fact that there's quite obviously an error there. We'll pretend there isn't, and that's cool. A little bit just there. Let's see it. Right. Too much. There we go. Just there. To there. And there. I want to get rid of all this kind of stuff, you see, to there. Alright, so with that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the paint layer back on, just here. And masking isn't implemented for this yet, which is a bloody shame. Now I could stick this right underneath and paint on top of it, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to use the other materials for the minute, so I'm going to add a surface layer. And in my surface layer I want some concrete. Now, is this concrete or is this skin? I can never remember. Let's see what else we've got. Well, there's a concrete surface, and there's a surface. I think it's that one will have weird lines on it. So I think I'll use this. Now it'll take a moment to load. There we go. And I'm going to have it coming from above, like that. Okay, and the good thing about this is that I can now adjust my threshold. Okay, and I can obviously start to get some nice little details like that. I don't want to remove the base detail if I can help it. I'm going to wrap it to the base so that it stands out a little bit more. Otherwise, what is the point? Okay, that's not so bad. Not so bad. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to decrease the diffuse. Okay, now I can see there's still a little bit of patchiness just above it. There we go, just remove that. Not too much though, because I don't want it to affect everything. There we go. Alright, so as you can see, this is kind of coming together. Now, the next thing I need to do, how are we doing for time? Not bad, 15 minutes in. New thing, you see, I don't make tutorials and like, you know. Hang on, let's have a look at this. I don't do tutorials and then, sorry, go on forever if I can help it. I prefer doing tutorials that, like, you know, don't do that. Right. Now, this is going to be a pain in the arse. Sod it. I'll pretend I didn't make that mistake and come back to it later, because I can fix this anyway. Fix it in post, that's what they always say. Because it's just a quick doodle. Right, I want to make some glass, or something to go inside here anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another paint layer. And that means that I can now draw inside this, like so. And my strength is probably a little bit too much on this. Just a bit. So I'm going to change this to about 5. I'll do that. Reduce the size of my brush. And I'm going to go from here to here. Here, this is just basic, remember? To here. Then I go around it. So here, to here, 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 and here. Okay, so we get this kind of frame thing going on, right? Next. On top of this, I am going to dump something. So add a surface, and sadly I don't have any wood or anything in here. Got some junk but no wood, bit of a shame. See if I can find anything that might be cow skin. Ugh, no, anything that might be kind of useful. This maybe, but dark. Let's have a look. So it'll load it up. Again, remember, we've only been doodling for about 20 minutes, and a lot of that's been me explaining to you what I've been doing, so... Okay, and all I want this on is the actual windows. So, I'm going to do that. Like so. And I want the colour. Not completely different, because that's far too light. A little bit concretey, but that's fine. Next, I'm going to mask it. So, paint the mask layer, and there to about there. Just paint it out. So easy to do, which is why I like it. There. Oh, that was loud. Again, we're cutting this fast and loose. Sorry, it was just delivery. So that's why this is looking pretty primitive. But you know, we're going for it. We are going for it. Now, I think this may be a little bit too deleted here. So what I'm going to do is get rid of some of this mask, and I'll use a square, so I can just draw this in. Okay, and just draw into the edge. Not too much, because that looks silly. As you can see, this is kind of a lost cause down here, so we'll just pretend that that's working great, and that's exactly how I needed it, okay? You have more time to spend on this than me. I'm spending 20 minutes, and I don't have a Wacom. Although I do have a coffee. Okay, so apart from that broken bit, things are looking okay. Next, I'm going to stick in another layer, and this time it's just going to be a solid layer. And this is going to come in from blue to about there. And this allows me to just change things. I'm going to make it a bit dark. Okay, because that's what glass is really, it's just dark, isn't it? And I'll stick some speck on that. A little bit more reflective. There we go. Lovely. Now I can make these windows look a little bit dirty. I've not got a lot of dirty decal, but I have got a little bit. So if I just go over here to my decal and atlas layer, and as you can see I've got these and these. I'm going to use these. Right, so I'll load it up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the scale. So and I'm basically just going to increase the scale until these are about like that, you see, which is what I needed. And I can offset them a little bit. There we go. And that way I've got this middle bit and I've got this bit here, okay, which is kind of how I wanted it. And the idea is just to give the impression that the window's not very clean. Yeah? Cool. Okay, again, we can just go straight into masking and delete stuff. So I'm going to take my mask on. There we are. I realise I've gone over 20 minutes there. I'm very, very sorry. So sorry. I've really gotten into practice now of, like, you know, doing 20-minute sets. So most of the time I can keep to it. But this one, obviously, it's quite a complicated thing I'm showing you here on this obviously underpowered machine, because you can tell by the way it's wheezing and crying in the background. So I'm holding down shift, by the way, to make straight lines, just like you would in Photoshop. See? Straight edge. Okay, that worked fairly well. So you can see we've got all this kind of debris on here, and the good thing is now that we can do things like reduce thresholds and all the other fun stuff we've been doing. Change this to 0 though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just get rid of most of it. There we go. That way it just becomes a bit mess on the windows. And then if I go back into my mask and get the soft one, okay, and get rid of any excess crap I don't need. That way it's only kind of hit the corners like that. Okay. And then reduce that. There we go. So it's scruffy. Now I do have some other decals that I can use, but I don't think it's going to be anything really that's going to be massively useful, because these are all stuff for roads. I mean, I've got a crack. I could stick through it, I suppose. Don't know how well that would work. Let's see if it loads. It's quite a big crack. Oh, my coffee. 20 minutes. It's cold. Come on, you can do this. Again, this is a very loose texture. I know that's an excuse. It's like, he's just saying it's loose because it's rubbish. That's as maybe. Right, so see there, we can do things like have cracks and things, right? So I can perhaps run that to there. And just change a few things on this. Okay, and That way cracks only apply to certain things, you see. Nice. Okay, so that is how I made this very, very simple and basic wall, okay, and it's nothing special. I mean, I wouldn't actually use this in production, but if you wanted to use it, what you would do is you go export, okay, and we'll save it to our library as well, so save as, or save, because it was called wall, I think. Here we go. A wall with a window, open brackets, basic draft. Just so I know that it's a draft and don't try and use it for anything really complicated. Okay, so that's saved. It probably went a bit chunky on my recording there for a minute. Now I'm going to make a wall with window basic draft in my materials library. 2K. I'm not going to up-res it to 4K because, dude, it kills it. Okay, diffuse, specular, glossiness. You can have roughness if you want. Normal, displacement, ambient occlusion. Okay, I rarely use AO. So I've got all these lovely, lovely maps and some errors over here that I haven't got around to fixing. I'll live. So I'm going to click Export 6 Maps. And pretty much that's all I had to do. If I now go into a wall with a window, basic draft, you can see there's my material. And I can fix this up obviously in Photoshop, so it's not like it can stay horrible forever. Or I could have done a better job and not ruined it on this. If you'd like to see what it looks like in something like 3ds Max or whatever, I'll quickly show you. Okay, so I have got 3D Studio Max open and ready to go. If you don't use Max, doesn't matter, you'll still get to see what's going on. Okay, I am going to make a simple material. So let's say a box. Actually no, a plane. Here we go. And I'm going to make it about 200 by 200. So I'm just going to type in this box, 200, 200, 1 polygon, because we only need 1 polygon. That's the point. Okay, I am going to rotate this. If you don't know how to do it, don't worry, I've got lots of 3D Studio Max tutorials coming. Absolutely loads, and you will watch them all. Okay, so there's my polygon. If I hit F4, you can see it's just one edged face. I'm going to hit M, that's for material. Now, modes. I've got mine in the Slate Material Editor, okay, because that's what I'm doing. And I am going to just make a simple physical material. Ka-chunk. Let's have a look. Actually, no, not a physical. I think I will use... what's the best material for this? Oh, I see. I haven't even got Blum and Arnold loaded. What am I doing? Hit F10, and I'm going to change this to Arnold. Give it a minute, because it obviously hasn't loaded yet. And Active Shade. Arnold Active Shade. Okay, Active Shade. Arnold again, because it deselected itself. And for output size, if I go down to High Definition TV, and I'll just pull out something like that one for the minute. Okay, now I've got all my materials here, and I would like... let's see. Yeah, I'm going to have a physical material anyway, because... Why the heck not, eh? Should I have a standard surface? Solid, standard surface. See, decisions. I've already made one. Right then, I'm going to find everything over here in my map browser, and I'm going to type image. Okay, because I only need to do this. And I'm going to go into my first one, get file name. And over here you'll see it's got all this stuff that I don't need. So I'll just put in my name of my new folder, which will be something like a wall with a window basic draft. And there's my diffuse. Okay, now if I shift and drag, so if I shift and drag, thank you, and shift and drag again, and again, and we'll do this a few times. Okay, there we go. Now in map 2, well, map 1 is going into my base colour. Hello. Okay. And come on, off. There we go. Now what I can do is just move that to there, and if I just tell this material that I'd like to be able to view it in my viewport, it won't do anything because Max hates us. Right, now I'm going to go onto my system here and change this to random, and change my auto detect threads to -2 in the hope that Arnold won't kill my system, because it does that a lot. Okay, so there we go, there's our simple window complete with errors, just so that we know it's there. Now image 2 is going to be my specular, so I shall feed that into my specular. Image 3 is going to be my, let's see, roughness, which I shall feed into my roughness. 4 will be my, let me see, probably my displacement. Okay, so now I can feed my normal into my normal map, ka-ching, and my displacement, I think displacement was, I'm not used to run the material to have a look. Yeah, I want to be using the other one. Right, I'll just use normal then. Job done. Right, let's see if that worked or not. Yep, it did. Probably do with a bit more displacement on it, and no error, which is what I've got. Right, and what I did was I just stuck a physical in here as well, just to kind of show you what it would look like with the diffuse option. And as you can see, we get all our diffusey, bumpy goodness with that one. Okay, so there you can see, obviously I've got a more realistic background in place, and HDRI and all that good stuff.